Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire. And when I'm not interviewing inspiring entrepreneurs, I'm listening to Stephanie O'Brien on the Moved by Purpose podcast.
You have experience. You have managed to get your kids out the door every morning, whether it's for daycare or preschool or school or whatever it is. You have those skills. Make a list of them, break it down, and that becomes your resume, your experience.
Are you longing to know what your purpose is? Are you on the wrong career path? Do you feel like there must be more to life? Don't worry, there's hope. It's time to be moved by purpose. Now your host, Stephanie O'Brien.
Hey, welcome to the Moved by Purpose podcast. This is your host, Stephanie O'Brien, and this is episode number 46. Today's guest is Jill Davis, and for over 25 years, Jill has helped others identify their dreams and take the necessary steps toward their fulfillment. She is trained in personality principles and coaching strategies. Her knowledge is backed by experience. She was a single mother of 4. She is a successful business owner, life coach, and popular motivational speaker. Jill has contributed to 2 parenting books, 21 Ways to Connect with Your Kids, and I Need Some Help Here. Hope for when your kids don't go according to plan. She's written an advice column for monthly publications and is the co-host of the local radio show, The Upsurge. She is certified through CTA and is also a 48 Days Mastery Coach and DISC certified trainer like myself. That's how I met her. She's a wonderful person. Her energy, intelligence, and intuition have inspired her clients and listeners all over the country to find their own unique path. Jill encourages everyone to live their life intentionally. And a quote is, "Each day, each moment is a choice. Choose with intention." Welcome to the show, Jill. It is an honor to have you today.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Stephanie. I'm looking forward to talking to you today.
If you could share your story, give us a background of maybe your work history, what led you to doing the business that you work on now, and give us kind of a backstory of what led you to starting what you love doing today.
Well, Stephanie, that's a wide open story because I love to tell stories. That's a wide open question for me, so I'll make it tight. I am a single mom. I have 4 children, 2 who are grown, 2 who are still at home, and I was always a stay-at-home mom. I got married when I was 20 and raised my children as a stay-at-home mom and a military spouse. We moved many times, and I homeschooled my children, so my life was really pretty much set in that place. I also became involved with a direct sales company and moved to the top 2% pretty quickly. Loved what I was doing, and then 25 years into the marriage, I ended up in a place of great loss and ended up in a divorce. And so for the last 8 years, I've been a single mom, and I took that experience of homeschooling, being a professional volunteer, and being a direct salesperson, and turned it into a business of coaching. And I do both life and business coaching, and I also do some sales training as well.
I have had some mothers writing in that are trying to return to the workplace, that have had, like, they were raising children and they were really involved in their kids' activities and things, and they feel very stuck with returning to the workplace. They don't know what their transferable skills are. They don't know what to expect. They're really nervous and intimidated by that. So do you have any type of maybe starting place or encouragement for them to really look into all the things that they've done that really have developed skills? that are highly sought after by our employers?
Absolutely, Stephanie. You know, that's one of the things you and I work with women in similar areas. The difference, I think, is that most of the women I work with are older and are coming in from, I don't even know how to use a computer. So for those of you who are a little younger and heading back into the workforce, remember that you at least have technical skills. You have lots of technical skills. You don't have to relearn that. But what I encourage people to do and women to do is sit down and from an objective point, not in the place of I'm just a mom, which we can say a lot, but from an objective point, make a list of everything you've done. And look at that objective point. Some of those things are as simple as we planned all the parties for our kids' soccer team, or we created an awards program for our kids' 6th grade class. It doesn't matter what it is. Those skills are absolutely transferable. And in the workforce today, most creative employers, meaning those who are thinking outside the box, are not looking necessarily for a work history as much as they're looking for experience. And you have experience. You have managed to get your kids out the door every morning, whether it's for daycare or preschool or school or whatever it is. You have those skills. Make a list of them, break it down, and that becomes your resume, your experience.
That's excellent advice, and I recommend you as well, starting with a list. And I think that that activity alone will boost someone's confidence and get rid of maybe some intimidation about it. And you mentioned that you work with older women, and I've actually gotten questions from some older women that have felt overwhelmed and intimidated by the technology, and also there's a sense of, I'm not sure if you have this with some of your clients, but some of them feel like there's age discrimination with that. They think that employers just automatically write them off because they're older. And I personally don't see that on my end. Like, I really try to encourage them because I've talked to a lot of employers that, like you mentioned, it's the experience that they're after. Do you have any encouragement to the older women that are kind of basically convinced in their mind that there's some age discrimination and maybe some things that will help them get past that?
Yeah, and you know, Stephanie, it's so true no matter what our age is. Number one thing is our mindset. I'm 52, and I don't necessarily think of, oh my gosh, I'm aging, but then I meet women in their 40s who are like, I can't get into the workforce. I'm so old. It's all a mindset because there's so much life to be had. So when we look at it from that perspective, that's the first thing I really encourage people to look at is, do you act old? Do you feel old? And if you do, what can you do to change that? And this is definitely a girl thing, Stephanie, so I know you'll relate to it. I think you will anyway. First of all, make sure you love your haircut. Nothing makes a woman feel better than a good haircut. Get a good haircut. Make sure you feel good when you step out. Whether it's the one outfit that you wear to every interview, it doesn't matter. But make sure that you physically feel well. I lost 135 pounds, Stephanie, when I got divorced, and I wasn't feeling good about myself. And so I learned how to create a place where those things shouldn't matter to us, but they do. And my mother, who was 89 and just recently passed away, always said, put a little lipstick and mascara on, you'll feel a lot better. And I believe that to be true. So whether you're a naturalist or not, a little bit of self-confidence just in our appearance is number one. And then number two, and my kids taught me this, and I get a giggle now, but it's called YouTube when it comes to technology. And I'm like, how in the world am I going to learn anything from YouTube? That doesn't make any sense. And I learned that several years ago, I would say things like, I searched the World Wide Web to find things. And my younger friends encouraged me, Jill, say Googled. And so I learned to say Googled. And now I say YouTubed. I YouTubed it because there is so much information. I struggle with technology like Excel and honestly, Word. I didn't need Word as I was working with my children at home. I YouTubed it. I'm pretty proficient. It's real simple. It takes about 6 or 7 minutes. We don't necessarily have to go back to school to get those skills. Those are great ways to get them. And then one other, and I'm not an affiliate, maybe you are, Stephanie, but is udemy.com. I really encourage a lot of my clients to go to Udemy because there are very inexpensive skills training that you can get certified in, and it can cost very, very little. I think I looked at an Excel program that was $119, and you come out certified in Excel. It's not necessary for the workforce, but it gives us a little confidence.
Those are great tips, and I love that you mentioned YouTube, because even I am more comfortable and used to technology because of just being younger. We were trained this stuff in school, and even it was my friends that were like, if I was stuck on something, they were like, look it up on YouTube. Like, I didn't know how to change the windshield wiper on my car, and they were like, look it up on YouTube. And when I have a house and when something broke down, I'm not handy. They were like, look it up on YouTube. So I was like, there are so many things you can learn from a YouTube video, anything from a home repair, a quick car repair, to learning technology. And so I can call myself handier because of YouTube. So
yeah, I'm a big believer, and it's free, because often when we're in transition, there may be plenty of money. I have a client right now who's going through a divorce transition. She has a quite considerable amount of money in savings, but because of her age, she's afraid to spend any of it. So we've done some work on YouTube to help her to see where she can build her skill set without having to spend money. And that's always a big issue when we're in transition. We really do want to watch our finances. So it's great free training. It's kind of like what the encyclopedias were when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Only better.
Yeah. Much better, because I'm a visual. It's like having someone walk you through there. There's also things like Google Helpouts. There's lynda.com, I believe. So there's all kinds of instructional training that you can learn from for free or inexpensive. Now, you mentioned a mindset, and I find that it's somebody's belief system. Most of the time, a mindset is a lie. Like, it's not something that's really truthful. But because they're so convinced that it is true, that they hold themselves back. I want to touch more on that, because I think that can relate to just about anyone. And so what are the things, since you do a little bit of life coaching, what are some things that somebody can do if they're in a kind of a toxic belief, or they have a stronghold or a negative mindset that's holding them back? What can they do to, one, be aware of it in the first place, and then two, overcome it?
Wow.
I know that's a heavy question.
What I do and what I teach when I work with women, and one of the things, Stephanie, that I didn't mention, but as I do work with women who have been through severe trauma, and when we've been through severe trauma, and trauma is such an individual thing. So it doesn't matter if the trauma is that you came from a physically abusive family, or the fact that you just lost your best friend. I talk about the daily traumas. The kids miss the school bus. Traumas trigger us into negative thinking. And there's all psychological research, and I won't go into that, although I love it, but it has to do with our amygdala and how we process trauma. So there's a couple of things I highly recommend when I'm working with someone who has those negative beliefs. And those negative beliefs, Stephanie, are actually designed. We were created to have those fears to protect ourselves. We have to protect ourselves. That's why we're still here, thousands of years later. Is because we have that mindset to be afraid, to be careful. But we don't have to continue that into this era of how we are in our confidence. We're not running away from saber-toothed tigers anymore. It just feels like it. So The three things that I teach, Stephanie, is number one is to breathe. When we start feeling that vibration in our body of fear and I'm not good enough, that's pretty common for a negative mindset in transition. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Breathe. It's really simple. Just 3 deep breaths will bring us back into the present. Okay, so number one is to breathe. Number 2 is to be present. We've taken those 3 deep breaths. We've slowed ourselves down and look at the present. And I don't know if you do this, but it's the what ifs that gets us upset. It's not the I'm sitting in a house, and I'm in Colorado right now, Stephanie, I'm watching the snow come down. That doesn't make me uptight or nervous. What makes me uptight and nervous is the thought process of the future. I have to go out in this today, or the road's going to be bad. Am I going to get to my job interview? What's going to happen? So when we breathe, we become present, and we can just be aware of the present moment. And then my third one, Stephanie, which I teach all the time and is so common in today's life, but wasn't so common many years ago when I first started this transition, is to be grateful. Gratitude actually changes our thought process and the way the neurons fire in our minds and in our brains. So when we can pull gratitude out, and it sounds so like a platitude, but it's really not. When we are grateful for what we have in front of us, no matter what that is, we can move forward.
I absolutely love that. And I love how you bring it back to the number one, breathe, which so many of us, honestly, forget to do sometimes. When you're under stress, like your breathing can become more shallow and you just need to slow down and take that in. And I've done that myself where I feel a little bit anxious. Why am I anxious in the first place? And just taking a couple deep breaths really does help you relax, and it helps you process more, and it does. It brings you back to the moment.
We need that extra oxygen because when we get into fight or flight mode, which most of us live in, that survival mode, we go to a shallower breathing because it allows our muscular system to get tensed and ready to run.
Okay, so there... And you're right. We don't need that in this day and age.
We don't. No saber-toothed tigers out there. It may feel like it. Sometimes my desk feels like a saber-toothed tiger, but it's really not. It's just about what we have to do to get through the day and be present.
Yes, I totally agree. Well, I think that you have really offered some extremely valuable advice, and there's women that definitely can connect with your story and the encouragement that you have given, and they're going to want to connect with you. How would they be able to find you? And is there anything that you are currently offering, working on, anything that they can use to maybe a free giveaway? Or I know you're in the Colorado area. There's listeners over there that they can connect with you locally. How can they find you online, though?
You know, Stephanie, thank you for asking that. If it's okay, before we go there, one of the things I offer, which is on my website, is a list of books. And that's one of the things I really also encourage people as they change their mindset is to look at those books. Do you mind if I share a couple of those books with your listeners?
Oh, please do.
Okay, so the first one is called Simple Abundance by Sarah Von Brathneck, which is a difficult word to say, but very easy to spell. It's Sarah Von Brathneck, which is BREATHNACH, Simple Abundance. And you can find it online for just $. It's been around a long time, but it teaches a daily practice of gratitude. So that's my number one suggestion as people are going through this place of learning. And then the second one, as they're in transition, one of my favorite books is called Finding Your Own North Star by Martha Beck. And that one is really about learning to listen to our bodies as we go through transition, because those fears and those worries are really just vibrations in our bodies, and it allows us to take a deep breath and to be in that place to know what our next step is. Do you find that a lot of your clients are trying to figure out, okay, so I'm in transition, what am I going to do next?
Yes, a lot of them feel like they can't move forward until they know the next step and have that clarity, so they just feel overwhelmed and stuck. Yeah, they don't do anything.
So that book, Finding Your Own North Star, actually takes people through a series of exercises to help them find what am I supposed to do next? Because unlike when we first get out of college, which I didn't go to college, high school is my place, we just kind of go, okay, so what do? We get married, we have kids. And that book helps you take that exercise of, what do I really want to do with my life? And in our world right now, there's so many options, whether it's an entrepreneur position or working for a nonprofit or working in the corporate world. There's great options. So that's another great book. And I mentioned one of those because you asked about freebies and like, what do I have on my website? And what I have on my website, I have lots of freebies where people can go, I'm a reader. I'm what's called an autodidact. I didn't go to college, but I learned an awful lot from reading a lot of books. I'm very self-taught. And I do have a list of books on there. However, I do have a special free one that I'll send out to anybody who wants it that is called Self-Care and Soul Care. And it's just a list of resources that I have found are really helpful as we go through those transitions. And people can find me either on, I won't say the World Wide Web, but they can Google me. And it's JillDavisCoaching.com. Or if they want to just send me a quick email, it's askjilldavis@gmail.com. And I'll send them a copy of that Self-Care, Soul Care, and also send you a copy so that you can get it out if you want to. You can share it with your listeners and your clients as well, Stephanie.
All right. Thank you so much, Jill, for that. Your generosity with sharing your expertise and just your authentic giving. And that is one thing that I definitely know for sure about you, is that you are a very genuine person and a very authentic giver. You just give with no expectation of any type of return. And that's very refreshing in today's day and age. Sometimes you can sense when someone's giving just to get. So I want to compliment you on that. You give because that's just who you are. You are a very generous person who gives. So, and again, you just keep on giving. So,
I believe we attract like. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. And as we attract like, I see that in you as well. I'm so glad I could be here today with you, Stephanie.
Yes. Thank you so much again, Jill. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully the snow subsides and that it's manageable.
There we go. But for now, I'll be present with the beauty of it.
Yes. It is very peaceful to watch fall.
It is.
Take care.
Thank you. Be grateful. Gratitude actually changes our thought process and the way the neurons fire in our minds and in our brains. So when we can pull gratitude out, and it sounds so like a platitude, but it's really not. When we are grateful for what we have in front of us, no matter what that is, we can move forward.
So there you have it. That was Jill Davis, and she just has such a big heart to serve. Very generous, genuine person, and I encourage everyone to go check her out and take her up on that resource that she's offering. And as always, if you liked this episode, make sure to comment over at movedbypurpose.net. If you have not done so already, please make sure that you rate, subscribe, and write a review in iTunes about this. This always helps me to get found by more people. Share this episode with friends that you feel will really benefit from it. That's a huge compliment to both Jill and myself. And I'm very excited to say that my mastermind group is open for enrollment now. So if you are interested in joining a mastermind group, please make sure to send me an email. I have information about it right on my homepage on my website, movedbypurpose.net. So be sure to check that out and ask me any questions about it, about the other members, about the goals that we're having, things like that, to see if you are a good fit. I am more than happy to help you out there or connect you to someone that might be a better fit for your goals and a better match for you. Either way, I want to set you up for success, whether it's with me or somebody else. My goal and mission is to serve you and help you rock it in business and life that you love. And as always, if you are stuck and don't know what to do, and you are feeling that there's something you're supposed to do, you have so many ideas, but you're not which one to pick, just go out there and try it on. Just go out there and do something. See what a good fit is. It's not this huge revelation of knowing exactly what you're supposed to do. It goes by taking action. It goes by doing something. You are far more experienced and far more educated when you just do something. And I will talk to all of you guys next week.